I'm not saying anything. Yeah, I'm giving the facts.
Last season, start of last season, if it was 15 years ago, the crowds would have been 3,000 more.
So that.
But the reason they were so low is because of the apathy amongst fans. Fans have walked away because they're sick of the way the club has been run.
But you just said last season the gates had gone up.
They have gone up very minimally from the year before.
So you're now saying they've gone up, but a minute ago you said they've gone down. Was it up or down?
Absolute rubbish, mate.
No, that's what you just said. I've been telling you what you told me.
I said they've gone down this season. They went up from the previous year,
And
but they're
from the
nowhere
previous
near where
year.
but they're nowhere near where they should have been.
I would agree. I would agree. We need.
Right, so
We'd
we're
agree that the gates for us being 20 games or getting to Christmas and losing one game and having the attendances that we did was disappointing. It's a long because we were at the top of the league and we would hope that there would be more fans coming to see a winning team, and there weren't.
So why wasn't there?
Why were the gates down for a winning team?
The gates weren't down. The gates were up, but not as high.
You said it was disappointing.
I know.
I'll reword it. Why were they disappointing for a winning team?
Because in the past, when the teams got to that level, the gates were higher.
Right, so why were there less? Why were there less?
Are we going around in circles?
It was because people were interested in the club.
Yeah. Can I get another question? Are you happy with that? You've got.
I'm not for one condoning the board. Well, I am actually, but anyways. Mr. Curl has been backed and backed and backed, and he's squandered money. The board's backed him with signings. Whether it's Adams, whether it's Jones, whoever else. They come to Carlisle because they're on good money. Curl has been backed. The reason the crowds are down is because the football is absolutely dross. It's not good to watch.
You want Cavan back? You'll have Cavan back for now.
No, it's not a case of having Cavan back. Yeah, but we're talking last season.
So why were crowds down? Why were crowds down? What they should have been?
Keith Curl.
What are they down from?
From what they should have been.
What should they be at?
What was the conference average? Seven summers? They were nowhere near what they should have been. Even the ones that made them were disappointing.
Has anybody got a reply to that one, or do you move on to another question? I've got one at the back. Another question at the back here.
We seem to have got lost in a whirlpool of attendances and figures there. I think the gentleman's original question in the blue jacket was about who's doing the marketing now that Phil King has left and what things are being put in place to improve the marketing of the club. That kind of got lost in a ridiculous argument about attendances.
Yeah, you're right, it did. At the moment, the marketing's being done mostly by the media team.
Thanks for that thorough answer.
Well, it did that.
What's been done to improve it as well?
Sorry, can you ask? I didn't quite hear.
What's being done to improve it as well?
I said the question was who's doing the marketing and what is being put in place by the club to improve it in other avenues.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So I didn't quite get the second part. Sorry. So the first part's, as I said, mostly by the media team. The second part is that we're looking at the way we allocate cash to marketing. Put simply, in the past, there hasn't been any significant marketing spend or any significant resources directed towards marketing, because primarily it's all gone into the football, as Billy said. So we're now looking at whether that has worked, and given the criticism that's coming our way, I would probably say it hasn't. So marketing, it comes at cost, and therefore taking your feedback on board, then we probably need to change the way we've been going about it, because it hasn't worked for anybody. Fair comment.
One more from the back.
I think that's the thing. I mean, the media team, you know, work the bollocks off. I don't think there's anyone who'd argue with that, but there's only so many hours in a day, and it needs someone professional in a marketing position like Phil King was to do it properly and take some pressure off them that frees them up to do other things they could be doing as well.
I agree, and that's what we're looking at, ways to make that better.
More questions? What the hang on, before I come to the front.
Another one about attendance figures, but straightforward. How many season tickets have you sold so far?
As of close of yesterday, it was about 200.
Okay. Did you have your hand up? Yeah.
Question to Nigel. In the forum last season, somebody asked a question about match day experience.
Yeah.
And I admit you were very good. You talked a lot of good last forum. You said you're going to update the bars, improve catering, etc., etc. My match day experience is absolutely appalling. I'll tell you why. Well, I'll start off by in the close season, I received a letter to get a season ticket. This part of the question, the letter was appalling. The font, you couldn't read it. It was slanty. It was terrible. That to me is one reason, no pride. The second point is catering. Catering improved early on in the season, and then it was absolutely dreadful in the East Stand. Absolutely dreadful. You couldn't queue. People, the people behind the stand didn't have a clue. Yes, it's improved slightly now. I think the reason that it's improved slightly now is because people don't go. Now, in January, I stopped going after the Sheffield Wednesday game. I had enough because it's boring. And but we got the same seats again. We went on Easter Monday at Lincoln City. My seat in the East Stand was covered in burn muck. There was rubbish still there from the game that we left at Sheffield Wednesday. We went into the toilets, there was no toilet paper in there. There were posters up there from games from last season. There's no pride in this club. These things do not cost money to change. You don't need money to change a poster. In the padded bar on the message board, you were saying you were putting out posters in the blooming programme. There's no pride in this club. All look 60, yeah? You know, all look bored stiff on there. Come on, have some enthusiasm. This is our club, for God's sake. Come on.
Don't know where to start with that one. First catering, right? We changed the catering to try and make it better. Got rid of the old caterers, brought some new people in. Because we didn't think it was good enough. So we tried that. We had, as you accept, we had a decent start. We've spent some money, not enough. But as I've said, and there's a running theme here. What the club has done in the past has directed everything towards the team. And this is the real debate here. It's the balance of where we spend. So yeah, the matchday experience is depending on what your view of it is, it's at best acceptable and at worst, as you described it, just dreadful. Trying to fix all that is an endless task. I'm not giving excuses, but it's an endless task. It's thankless. So we try to spend money to increase capacity in certain areas. That kind of works in the short term, and you get a few more cubicle windows, and it shortens the queue. We try to work with the caterers to get more staff in places. We've tried to get different, trying to make the queuing better by having queuing lanes and stuff like that. It makes it one step forward, maybe one step back, a couple of steps forward, maybe one step back. Overall, in the end, we are fighting a losing battle in this stadium. Overall, the points you make about posters, cleaning, bird mess, etc., etc., are unacceptable. Unacceptable. It shames me to hear you say it. Don't make me feel good, honestly. We talk about it every week. We talk about trying to make things better. We talk about how we can make it better when we haven't got a lot to play with. We need everybody to do their jobs, put brutally. So in that particular instance, there is a member of staff whose job it is to sort all that out. And if it's not getting sorted out, then when I saw it on the weekend and I saw it on the fans forum, because I do look and I do read it, we try and fix it. It's not making excuses. I'm just trying to give some reality. It does it shames me when you say stuff like that. Don't make me feel good. Don't make me feel good at all. I'm trying my best. I'm sorry.
I think that just going back onto why people, so just replying to the answer there, going back onto why people don't come. I speak to a lot of people that pride gets thing and say, well, if they can't be bothered to put toilet paper in the toilet, or this, why should I be bothered to travel 200 miles to the
You're right. You're right. You're right. I've got no excuse for that. My only thing I've got in mitigation is that's somebody's job to do it.
But surely, if I keep on going about Accrington Stanley and Andy Horton, he walks around all the time and he's excellent. And he gets fans involved. They don't get fans involved to come and pick rubbish after the game. There's plenty of people that want to help this club, but they just feel that they can't, because I don't know why.
We're not in a position to turn down any help, as we saw when we had the snow.
Yeah.
Fans came out and we're all in it together. I've talked about this many times over a long period about the need for the fans and the club to be united to try and take us forward. And while ever there's a feeling that that isn't the case, it makes it really hard. It does make it really hard. We need help. We can't do it on our own. We're a small outfit. We've probably got about less than 20 full-time staff. This is not easy, right? Now, the point you make about pride, I've got pride in the job, and I feel the staff have got pride in the job. And I don't think anybody purposely goes out to try and not put toilet paper in toilets and things like that. And we've got to do better. And it needs everybody to pull together and do their jobs. And every time something goes amiss, it's immediately obvious, and we pulled up on it. And we all understand that there's no slack anywhere. And as I say, we just do our best and try and plough on. And I just want to make it better for everybody. That's what I'm trying to do. And if anybody wants to come and help, my doors are always open.
Nigel, can I just say, I think we all want the match day experience to be better, but we all twine when you think there's no investment going into the football team. If you want your match day experience to be better, not just about the football, we as supporters have got to accept that this club has got to get the balance better between what we spend on facilities and staff and what we spend on the football team. Now, you know, football supporters will tell you you've got no ambition, you're not putting any money into the football team. We can't put it all into the football team and all into the ground. So if all you fans are willing to accept that there's got to be a better balance between what the income that comes into this club and how it's spread between all the facilities and the football team, I'm quite sure that the management team at Calais United will be only too happy to do that. But you've got to accept all the money will not go to the manager, to the football team.
And the supporters club reps have been advocating that for a little while now.
Yeah, these are simple things he's talking about, though. They're not things that are paying loads of money. They're simple things.
No,
all these simple things together make a big problem. They're easily solvable.
I accepted that there were simple things. I made no excuses for them.
Aye, but the chap on the ends saying,
no, I think that's
one
what
thing's put right, there's no money for the team. The things are simple, things are free. It's just the case of people doing the jobs properly.
I did not say I did not say there's no money for the team.
That's what you are.
No, what I said was there would be less money for the team.
Right,
less money. I did not say no money, but you've got to accept we've only got one pot of money, and we've got to share it out better between the facilities for the people like you that come down here on a Saturday or Tuesday, whatever day of the week it is, and want to enjoy the experience. But, you know, that comes at a cost as far as the football.
These aren't expensive things to sort out.
But come down then, volunteer. You're saying there's plenty of people in here to volunteer. Come down and volunteer.
Football club whose job it should be.
I think there's two things. The first bit is the simple things, the just do your job bit, no excuses, which is your point, which I've agreed with. Again, I'm agreeing with you again. I think Billy's wider point is, if you want to make real change in terms of the facilities and things like that, then that's where he's talking about, the big things, not the little things.
I think we've got a question here who's been waiting a while. Just hang on, then I'll come over there, yeah?
Okay, I think we should get down to the nitty-gritty and not talk about various issues which are very interesting but don't really refer to the immediate future. I've just moved back to Carlisle and I came down tonight and I decided that I was going to listen to what was being said before I determined whether to buy a season ticket or not. I will still come down to watch the matches, but I assume that you want season ticket buyers to get the cash flow of the summer. If you've got 200, which I think Suzanne said, I don't know how that compares to last season, but I've heard nothing tonight which convinces me that I should stick my hand in my pocket tomorrow and buy a season ticket. Now, it becomes a vicious circle. You don't have the cash. You can't afford the people to change the toilet rolls or whatever. You can't afford to invest in the team. You can't confirm whether or not Keith Curl will be manager next year. I need to know these things before I think, well, they're committed, I'll commit myself. Now, there were rumours on the message board which you read that the club is on the point of administration. Now, I don't know if that's true, but it's very easy for rumours like that to spread and further weaken the case to buy a season ticket if there's a rumour abroad that the club's going to go into administration and there's a risk that your season ticket will be worth nothing. So what can you say to convince me to come down here tomorrow and buy a season ticket?
Well, it depends how passionate you are.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No,
It does.
I've been president for 60 years. I came to my first back
Well,
in 1962.
Well, I don't think about it. I just buy it because I'm into the club. But obviously, there are various levels of absolute commitment, and we need to work at that to get people back interested in the club. However, some of the problems we face that have been alluded to and spoken about tonight are not ones that we can sidestep and can't give assurances on, like what the budget will be next year, whether the manager will be here, because we're not in a position to do so at this point in time. So it's very difficult. But I think we would say, get behind the club, support. I know you're going to all take...
But there's a very simple answer to that. There's a very simple answer to that. Keith Curl will be manager on Saturday, and almost 2,000 people will be going from Carlisle to Morecambe. What number of those 2,000 will be here the following Saturday against Luton? And I would say, so there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
The last time I spoke, I said exactly the same thing as you're saying. So, yes, it is, and that needs to be put right.
But it's not Keith Curl, it's not the team, because 2,000 of us, including yourselves, I presume, are all going down the motorway on Saturday.
I think that is self-evidently the case, without going into detail. Obviously, it's not just the team. It's the feeling that the people have, as the guy over there says, about the way the club is perceived as being run. And the fact that there's been no change in ownership, no spark coming back into the situations. And there's no point hiding away from that. Some people are on this table won't like it, but it's true. And I wouldn't try and escape from that obvious conclusion, personally. Not that the guys running the club now aren't committed or doing the best, or wouldn't, give up their positions in order to see the club progress. But it hasn't happened yet, and it needs to happen, and we've got to find a way of making it happen. But it's a bloody struggle to achieve that.
Can I add to that? Because And if we take it down a level from owners and shareholders and down to our board and our club staff, and what we've got is a small group of people who work really hard to try and make a club that not only they can be proud of, but the supporters and everybody associated with the club can be proud of. And we don't get it right all the time, at all. We don't think we get it right all the time, but we acknowledge where we get it wrong, and we are trying to work to chip off some of the things we get wrong. Can't change everything overnight, impossible. But what we want to be able to do is be seen to listen, to respond, to react to the issues you raise, the toilet rolls, the posters. You're right, and Chapping the Blues right. They're simple things that we should get right. Talk to us, communicate with us, complain at us. I'm there on a match day, the other staff are there on a match day. Nobody's not going to listen. We want to pull in tight as a group within the club, reach out to you as a group outside the club, and pull together more. You know, we're proud of what we know our club can achieve, and we maybe haven't been hitting everything we can achieve for the past few years, but if we can work with yous and yous can work with us, then we can get back bigger and better and move forward. So your match day is a greater experience, your catering is a greater experience, and you are proud to be a part of the club that represents your community, and that's what we want from inside the club.
But Nigel was saying he was embarrassed about the fact that there's bird mess on the seats when this guy here went the other week. I read all about Carlisle United, and exactly the same complaint was made in the first game of the season. So you're saying we complain to make us aware?
Yeah, I spent my Saturday cleaning seats with a bucket and a brush and a cloth to wipe them up. You know, but nobody's too proud to get stuck in and to try and make it right. But
it's not an important point either. I can wipe my own seat.
No, it's not an important point, but it proves that there's people within the club willing to do the thing.
You're saying, let us be aware and we will rectify it. A simple point like toilet roll or bird nest, it's a simple thing.
Well, we did take action on the birds at the beginning of the season, but you should come down to my works at Rose Hill and see the number of, you know, just now there's so many of them. We're flying forms around to try and get them.
Yeah. Can I just have my 2 pence to answer that question? It's a great question. Why buy a season ticket? Right. I can't put myself in your shoes. I haven't been a fan of this club as long as you guys have. So it'd be wrong to me to do it. All I can say is why I think it's important, right? What I think is important is that this is a community club, it's a fans club, it needs support. The club can't function, can't prosper, can't get better without working with its fans and the fans being all together with us. It's not about supporting me, it's not about supporting these guys at the front, or custodians, or a board, or anything like that. It's nothing whatsoever to do with that. It's about being part of something, being part of a club, sharing the highs and the lows, creating memories, going to places, experiencing things together, that tribal feeling. And you can't get that unless you're in it. You don't get it from the radio, it's about being there and being part of it. And these things, they're life experiences, and it's about being part of that and feeling that you belong to that. Now, you don't get that belonging by me saying, buy a season ticket or sending a leaflet. You get it from in here. You get it from in here. So, why would you buy a season ticket? Well, I would say because I think you guys care. You care about your club. You want it to be better. Right? We want it to be better. So why can't we just try and make it better together? Right? Make it better together. Not to keep us in a job, or to keep us sat behind a desk, or having a high life, or anything like that. Nothing whatsoever to do with that. Because the club needs to be better, and we can't do it on our own. And if the fans come together, and as many people came at home, we'd have more money. We might be investing in the team, invest in the stadium, invest in more owls to scare birds, pay more money to ground staff, so we can have more of them to clean the mess up. We can do things, but we can't do it on our own. And by not supporting the club, it's just going to make it worse. And in the end, the final thing is, right, and this is the most controversial thing, and I think I've said this before, for those who actually want change, for those who don't want me here, or anybody else here, the best chance you have of making that happen is if this club is in good shape. If it's united and everybody's pulling in the same direction. Because it'll be better on the pitch, it'll be better off the pitch, and the people who want to get involved, the quality of the people who'll come to do it, they might actually come forward. There might actually be somebody there who at the moment thinks, oh, I might want to be involved, but I don't want to get anywhere near that with a barge pole, because we're in a conflict situation. So you might actually have more chance of getting what you actually want. So, win-win. That's why I would do it. I don't have to passionate for you, Richard, because I've...
There's a new question in the front, you haven't had one yet.
Yeah, I think anyone that knows me knows that I'm a big Carlisle United fan, and I want to start by saying that Carlisle United is what matters to me and Ross. We're big fans, we go everywhere supporting the club. And there's some fantastic people, some fantastic staff in this club. And my sort of point is a little bit different to anyone else's. The people that I used to come to the games with, the people that don't come, it's not because of anyone sitting on the board, it's because of the transparency. I'll give you a little example. Every transfer we make is undisclosed. Brad Potts, Kyle Dempsey, Sam Cosgrove, Charlie Wyke. If Andrew, who is a fantastic supporter of this club and has obviously put a lot of his own money in, if he needs some of the money back, if we get 250,000 for Wyke and we need to put that money back to Andrew, that's fine by me. If we need to put money into the club, that's fine by me. But just let the fans know what's happening. Let them be honest and say, look, we can't put any of this money back into the club. We've got to put this money back in the club, or we've got to put this money into the play. Just tell us what happens. We never seem to want to know. A friend of mine that I've been trying to get back, when we sold Sam Cosgrove, he phoned me up and he says, how much should we be selling for? Undisclosed by any chance? I says, yes. So all I'm asking for you guys, and I'm not questioning anybody's support of the club, especially not Andrew, I would like to think if we could just be a bit more honest and upfront with the supporters.
Do you think that since Nigel came, it has been more transparent? Because transfer fees are very difficult when the opposite, the guy who the player's going to, comes from, when they say, you know, they don't want it let out, he can't do it.
Andrew, I appreciate that.
Otherwise you maybe lose a customer in the future.
It's everyone. You know, as I say, I've just rattled off a few there. Potsy, Dempsey, Charlie Wyke, Sam Cosgrove, and they're just a few that appear. Everyone's undisclosed. Just say to me, well, right, and I'm just saying this as an example, we've got 250,000 for Charlie Wyke, but listen, guys, Andrew needs a bit of his money paid back, we need to do this to the club, and then we're going to have this much money left. And I know that can't happen every time, but it happens every time that we can't tell the fans what's happening. And that, for the supporter, all right, I go to every game, but that for the supporter who's adrift and might think, well, hang on a minute, they're putting nothing in. They're not giving us, and you know, if you said it's you know, as a
that one not put that one on, didn't we, Charlie Wyke?
No,
because that was.
I'm just saying it generally, yeah, Andrew. You know,
I think Nigel has been trying to put a lot more stuff out there so that people know what's going on.
Kyle Dempsey, Potsy, you know, we never.
Yeah, I think every single transfer that I've ever done with another club, the other club has said non-disclosed.
So was the other club then?
No, I'm just saying. In every one where I've been on the other side, the other side said that. Generally, at the club that I was at before, whenever we tried to sell a player, we were quite happy to say what we sold him for. We were quite proud. We were quite proud of it. but the team who were buying it from us, they didn't want us to disclose it. And similarly, when we might be buying a player, we might wanted to not let anybody know how much we were spending on transfer fees. But that's at a different level. I've only been involved in probably the 2 deals, and in both of them here, in this one, Bradford didn't want to disclose it, and Aberdeen didn't. And if you've got 2 parties to a transaction and one says no, you can't do it. You can't disclose it on your own.
I'll come up.
Sorry.
I'll come up to you. Hang on, wait a minute, so we can hear you.
You just said about Bradford that didn't want to disclose the fee. It was common knowledge that there was an opt-out clause in his contract. So that's stupid for a start, isn't it?
Well, there's a difference between it being common knowledge and us breaching a contract that says we can't disclose it. I mean, in that particular case with Charlie White, it was very, very acrimonious. Absolutely, we didn't want Charlie to go. We were threatened with legal action if we didn't let him go, and we would have been.
So who had the clause put in his contract?
The player.
The player or his agent?
The player and his agent.
Yeah.
Said if you want us to sign this deal, then you've got to have this clause in. Now maybe at that time the club could have said, nah, we won't have that clause, we won't sign you.
Well, to protect the club, you could say we'll make it 500,000, not 250, which is a giveaway.
Yeah, but then the player just says, no, I'm not signing. What do you do then if he says no, it's 200,000 or I'm not signing? It's pretty black and white. You can't say, well, we'll half sign you. You can't do that. So you either agree and take the deal as it is, or he doesn't sign. And at the time they decided that it was better to have Charlie at that level and with a 200 get out, whatever it was, and than not. So that's black and white.
Leaving aside the transfer fees and putting that in the public domain, it seems to me personally that the club is putting out a lot more information now than it has done in my memory. And I can't believe that you guys don't appreciate some of that, because it seems to me self-evident.
I was talking more about transfer fees in general. The club's communication has improved a bit, but I still think it could be better. And I'm sure, Suzanne talked about, an open forum for suggestions and that. I think these are the things we need to push forward with. We need to, bring there's always been an us and them, hasn't there? It needs to come closer. And my point was that I'm talking from the group of friends that I used to come with, and the whole, the reason that they don't come, or a lot of them don't come, is they don't feel we're transparent enough.
Can I just say, I think one of the things that, because it was part of what you said before, certainly while I've been involved in this, I've got to tell you, none of the money from transfers has gone back to any directors' loans or anything else. Well, it goes into the football team.
But that wouldn't have bothered me, because all I was saying was, if it needs to go back to Andrew, because he's obviously invested heavily over the years, if some does need to go back, that's fair enough.
And I'm quite sure some previous owners have done that.
Yeah, and that's fine. All I'm saying is, right, we got this, can you tell the supporters how much we got, and then, let everybody know. That was my point. I just think that...
I think most of these things get out anyway, without the club telling you, and most of them seem reasonably close to what the actual figures are.
Yeah.
But we're not breaking confidence.
Well,
I think it's maybe more important you understand when the money comes in as opposed to how much money comes in. I think, banding around £250,000 figure can be quite misleading if that figure takes 3.5 years to actually come into the club. So that, I think that's the more important thing that we need to communicate.
Yeah.
Got another question over here?
Hello again.
I agree.
So you're talking about like fans being closer to the club and everyone helping out and they're mucking in together, but I mean, the fact is that most fans feel alienated by the club. You know, that we're at arm's reach, like we're almost like an inconvenience to you. And I think if they're a lot more open with things, like transparent, like the man says, not just with transfer fees. I understand that you can't quote a transfer fees and things like that, but everything seems to be, oh, we can't tell you that, we can't tell you this. You know, with the new ground, like with the 2 years, like with the billionaire saga, and then even for the year after, oh, we still can't tell you who it is. You know, and it's almost like a soap opera that. Just come out and say, for God's sake, just certain things. We had to press you, like to give us a name. Everyone knew. You were quite happy just to leave it alone.
No, I wasn't quite happy to leave it alone. I was quite, let me finish. Let's nail some of this nonsense, I think. Right. We're not quite happy to leave it hanging. Do you think any of us want to sit and read the paper with a clock ticking of how many days it is since Nigel says that they've signed a non-disclosure agreement about the name? Nobody wants that. Absolutely nobody. No.
Well, you were quoted in the paper saying, look, I don't know why fans want to know anyway. I don't know when the date is.
I've never said I don't know when the date is.
You gave a very vague answer to when the date was.
Don't put words in my mouth.
No, I'm not. I'm just quoting from the paper.
Well, you haven't. You just quoted from the paper and something that's not true.
All right.
Right. If I just answer the question, nobody wants that. Again, we don't live in a kind of world where the law doesn't apply to us. If you sign an agreement, you've got to honour that agreement. Otherwise, as a business, you get sued.
I understand that. But
so I'm going to finish. So you accept that, right? So a non-disclosure agreement was signed, which meant we couldn't reveal the name. Otherwise, we'd breach it and risk getting sued. So at the point at which we weren't going to get sued, his name was revealed. Now, again, it might not be helpful to the club or anybody else, but as soon as we could do it, we did it. Didn't run away or hide or pretend it wasn't going to happen. We did it.
You were pressed first, though, by John Coleman, weren't you?
No.
See, if John Coleman hadn't kept it going, you'd have been quite happy for it just to go away.
I think that's just not true.
Right, all right. I'll agree to disagree. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, you're asking for help from the fans. You're asking for everyone to work together. Why not embrace the fans? Because the fans don't feel embraced. You know, I mean, our owners on the radio are calling them four-letter words. Mr. Pattinson's are picking arguments with anyone who wants an argument, me included. You know, we just aren't. You know, we don't feel wanted by the football club. That's the top and bottom of it, and that's why you aren't getting help from.
Okay.
We aren't working together.
What can I do, sat here now, to make you feel wanted? You in particular.
Well, the bar's there.
Right, so if I buy you a beer, that makes you feel wanted. Right, okay.
But it's a start, isn't it?
I've got one here, one there, and then Barbara. Okay? See me looking about too much.
It's quite handy following on from this gentleman's comments. Nigel's heard some of this from me before, so I apologise to him. In answer to your question, or part of your question, why do fans not feel part of the club anymore? Well, I've got lots of friends who no longer come, and there are two reasons for that. They're not actually valid all the time, but they're the same reasons that come back. One is to do with the football, which I'll come back to in a minute. And the second one is, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, I don't want to get into that argument, there'll be a lot of fascist people shouting here, but there's a perception that the board are doing nothing to take us forward. Simple as that. We're not clear about what's happening. Now, there's a lot more clarity now, but it tends to be piecemeal in response to somebody, either John Coleman asking a question, or we'll ask a question from here. I personally, if I want to get behind the club now, I want to know transparently, really clear from the outset, you touched on it from the beginning, what is our policy about ground movement? I want that in black and white. What is our policy about selling the club. I want that in black and white, out in black and white. I want to know exactly why there's a problem with marketing and what we're going to do about it. And if that means that I can come out and help with that, then I can get behind. I'd like to know exactly in each of the areas, the business areas of the club, what is the club's policy? So that instead of sitting at a forum here screaming at Andrew or screaming at Steve Paddington, I can actually ask you, where are we with the marketing strategy? Can we do anything about that? Because I get comments back about marketing, but not about what we're actually going to do that I can get behind and feed. And a lot of people, when you talk to them, will say, I don't want to go down there because that lot that's running it don't know what they're doing. Now, I've spoken to some of you, and I know that you do know what you're doing. And what I'm saying to you is, make it explicit so that we can all understand and get behind you. The second thing is the football. I don't want to get into the business about whether Keith Curle's the best thing for the club or the worst thing for the club, but the fact of the matter is, it is boring football. You know, whether it's boring and he's kept us up and in a good position, so you take the positive, the half-full side, or whether it's boring and we could have had a better coach and have been in League One, you know, you pays your money, you take your choice, and it'll be 50-50 in this audience. But the fact of the matter is, there are a lot of fans who won't come down because the football's not good. And it needs both parts addressed. How the hell you do that on the football side, I have my own ideas, but then so will the other 70 or 80 people that are in this room. But the business bit is your bit, and you really need to make it obvious. So if we're going to try and move from Brunton Park, let's have that as our stated aim. Not, well, you know we're going to move, we've been looking at this, that. No, I think you might be going to move. What is it that you really want as a board? Do we want to move? And then we can all shout at you here, no, we don't want to move from Brunton Park. But at least you've got a plan. So I want the two sides to be planned out and transparent. And in response to this gentleman at the front there, you can then tell me very clearly what's happening. I'm sorry, Mike, that marketing thing that we tried hasn't worked.
No, I think on the stadium point, we can't have a policy because we don't know what the options are. That's the point. We're at the point at which we know what options we've got available to us.
But you can,
then
sorry, Nigel, you can have a thing because you can say to us, right, our stated aim is to look at all options for a move from Brunton Park. Now, it may well be that you then come back to us and say, we've looked at them all and they're all crap and we're going to have to stop. But at least I know as a fan, I can get behind the idea that we're all going to try and move from Brunton Park.
No, I understand that because that's what we're doing. And if that's not clear, then I apologise because that's what we're actually doing. We're looking at all options to be a bit more general than that. We're looking at all options to make the spectator experience that fans have better. And that means either doing something at this stadium or going somewhere where we can do it. And that is what we're trying to do. At the point at which we know whether it's feasible to move, then we can decide whether it's better to move or better to stay. But we're not at that point yet because we've got to investigate what option, whether it's feasible. So that's what we're doing.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
Okay. So if you've got these ideas, then as well as publishing your financial accounts, publish a business plan that says this is aim number 1, aim number 2, aim number 3, aim number 4, and me as a fan can get behind that.
We haven't got one.
And I'm asking for them to do that.
Okay. Right, take it.
Two more questions. I think we're going to have a short break. I think one here and then Barbara's got one.
Just following on from my opening question, you mentioned the partnership with EWM and some possible local interest, people getting involved. Do you not think we maybe need a bit more clarity regarding EWM maybe coming from their side as well? Because possibly that could be a bit of an elephant in the room as opposed to someone wanting to come in and invest. They don't know what EWM's intentions are. And I think that would be a big indicator for people in this room to get behind us even more if we know if there's short-term positivity regarding EWM? Is it a long-term thing? Are they going to get more involved, as i.e. more investment, having more of a say in board decisions? I think we maybe need to a little bit know more a bit about that as well.
Well, we've got to respect DWM, and to be fair, anything that comes out relating to them, they want to put it out. It's as simple as that. But we're very pleased that they came along, and Nigel and I was just saying about talking about investment. The money that John Courtney put in, Fred Story put in, I've put in, an individual and EWM put in, as it related to about £500,000 a year. And if that is an investment, but to be honest, you go around the country, I think this club is quite well run, no matter what all you think. It's well respected by other clubs, but most of the clubs are run by one individual. It goes for so long, it breaks down, and everybody's trying to pour money in to get out of the leagues, and it's a very difficult job. But we've been putting £500,000 a year into this club, and it's a bit disappointing for me. They say that I'm not appreciated when we have had success. We were in the playoffs last year, we nearly got there with Keith. We've won at Liverpool, we've got Everton here, we've won the the trophy. So it hasn't been all doom and gloom. But John Nixon was talking to someone at Scunthorpe recently, their CEO, and he said, I think we were trying to borrow a player who was injured, and I said, well, you've got to get him, you've got to let him come here and, and train with us and see if he's okay, because he's a very good player. And they wanted £3,000 a week. It can't be £3,000 a week. It could be like Jason Kennedy, he's still in a wheelchair, and he's on about £1,500 a week.